Ohm's law. Our topic is Ohm's law, and this topic is very important for your board exams as well as students who are looking for the IGCSE also. Means it is sure that some questions will come from this topic, MCQ as well as in your cumulative exams, subjective questions. So let me begin with the what is this Ohm's law? What role does it play in electricity? So the first thing here, we start from the definition to understand the meaning of the Ohm's law. Ohm's law, you know that Ohm is the name of the scientist who has given a law. And what is that law? Children, please, you can read this statement, go through with the statement. At constant temperature, for given dimension of the conductor, the strength of electric current through a conductor is directly proportional to PD, potential difference applied across the conductor. Now, children, in our previous class, in last class, we discussed that if we have a conductor, we have connected a component, suppose electric lamp, and as soon as we connect a battery, then you know that and switch is on, then you know electric current starts flowing due to the battery. So the Ohm is the scientist who gave us some little bit explanation about how current vary according to voltage. Is there any direct relation or indirect relation between current and voltage? If I increase the voltage, is the current going to increase or it is going to decrease? So that was the experiment done by one of the scientists, Ohm, and then finally from his experiment, from his observation, he gave a law, and the name given is Ohm's law. And what is the mathematical form of Ohm's law? And that is, you can find, children, I is proportional to V. What is the importance of this equation? You know, this equation implies if you increase the voltage, you know, children, the voltage, if you increase the battery, you take a cell of 1.5 volt, if you take a cell of 3 volt, 4 volt, if you increase the voltage, more energy will flow per unit charge. That is the definition of the EMF, children, you know. So as per the Ohms, he explains that if you increase the voltage, corresponding current also increase in the circuit. You know that this was the experiment. He performed some experiment, children. And after his experiment, then he gave this mathematical equation that I is proportional to V, or generally we write this equation that V proportional to I. V is directly proportional to I, means either I increase current or voltage, means if I increase one, other will automatically increase. And when I replace this proportional sign, then there he find that this R, a constant term, is also come. This R is called the constant. The name given to this constant is resistance. That is also very important topic in for grade 10. We are going to discuss this topic also, resistance. So V proportional to R. But there is an assumption in this equation. When he derived this equation, when he performed this experiment, he made a condition that at constant temperature. Suppose, children, now please remember this Ohm's law. This is your lab report also. Very soon you will find your lab report criteria B and C. And in the criteria B and C is basically based on this Ohm's law. So this is very important for your criteria also, children, and for your exams also. Now here, children, at constant temperature, why this temperature is constant, that I will explain this when I will discuss about the resistance. But he took a necessary condition that temperature should be constant. It means that definitely he varied, he tried to change the temperature, and finally he concluded that the result is coming different. So he tried to maintain the temperature constant. So let me move to the next one. Next slide, later. You may note down, please, it. And at the end of this topic, I will also try to share this. PP2 in class group. R is the resistance, yes. And yeah, let's begin with the resistance topic. We will come back to the Ohm's law, the practical part of the Ohm's law, that the diagram, electrical circuit, and its data to explain how Ohm's law is valid. So now, children, here, the next topic is resistance. Resistance, children. Resistance. Resistance is a word, generally it is also used by our parents. Sometimes our parents say, or our friends say that his body resistance is very strong. His resistance is very strong. In terms of medical, that the resistance, body resistance, the immunity, that the person, that guy is very, very strong. And if the body resistance is weak, that easily some of the infections like the cold and cough, we easily get infected. And similarly in the COVID-19 situation also, that the people, they find that it is very, very essential to maintain ourselves healthy, to make their immunity system strong. And now that is something here, resistance. Now children, first we will look for the equation and the definition for resistance, that if you have to write in exam, what you have to write for the resistance. And so it is resistance of, the ratio of potential difference across the ends of a conductor and the current passing through the conductor is said to be the resistance of the conductor. So this R is equal to, from the Ohm's law, R is equal to V divided by I. Means you can find the resistance of any conductor, of any metal, any wire, if you know the voltage applied across the resistance, how much current is flowing in the circuit, their ratio, V divided by R, that is the resistance. That is the mathematical form. How would you find out the resistance? And the unit, you remember, children, the unit is given by Ohm, O-H-M, and the Greek letter, children, this Greek symbol. And if you have to write the symbol Ohm, so this is Ohm here, and basically if I have to write, so I will draw this symbol like this. So anywhere, if your drawing is good, so you can draw exactly, otherwise there is no loss of marks if you write this type of symbol also. Both are correct, this correct, this correct, this is also correct. Dimensional formula, children, you don't need to remember here. This is not in our course, not in our curriculum, but definitely it is required for the students looking for the engineering, for IIT and NEET exams. Now, after this, children, that you find by yourself that what is how to define 1 ohm. I'm not going to this point, but I want to discuss some more about, children, about the resistance. What is this resistance means? What is this resistance means? And children, is there anyone from 10th class to explain meaning of resistance? I want to hear from you. Any one student, starting from Callister? Some of students, you turned off your camera, please switch on. May I know meaning of resistance, children? Ethan?
Resistance to conventional flow, conventional current.
Ethan, your voice is not still audible, but thank you for your explanation. And now, students, to know the resistance here, actually resistance symbol, first we look. This is the symbol for resistance. If you have to draw a resistance in an electric circuit, so you can draw this symbol as well as there is one
Sir,
more. Yeah, yes, please.
so can you go back one slide?
Okay, back this one.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now I'm talking about the resistance here. First, you note down, children, that the symbol of resistance, this is like this, or generally this in Igcse we use symbol for resistance is like one rectangular box and like this. So this is resistance. Both are valid. Both are valid. Both are valid. In some book you will find this type of symbol. In Indian books you will find this one, and here you will find that the second box. Both are valid. But now to what is the role of resistance? If you see the equation, children, equation of resistance, then you will find resistance is inversely proportional to current. There is an indirect relation. To know the meaning of resistance, so resistance means it make and it creates some problem for the current to flow in circuit. Basically, the resistance means it oppose or try to oppose the flow of current in an electric circuit. So they are anti of each other. They are against each other. Listen carefully, children. This is a very, very important topic. Very, very important. You have to be very careful in this topic. Resistance is inversely proportional to current. First, you have to remember this equation. If their inverse relation is there, it means one factor increase, then the other factor will decrease. They are against each other. The resistance of a conductor means opposition to the flow of current. This is like an opposition party in a political system. That one party tried to do some good, the other party that it come into play to oppose. So the same thing is here in electricity, my dear children, that resistance is opposition. It makes some problem for the current to flow in electric circuit. And from this symbol, actually, this symbol also you can see that this diagram here, the current, the wire is not straight, but here you can find this is like, resistance work like a speed breaker. It works like a speed breaker on a road, on a highway. You know that what is the role of the speed breaker in our TKC apartment? You know that on the road many speed breakers are there. What are the role of the speed breaker on the highway in your streets? And then you find speed breakers are there to stop the vehicles, just to try to make that the vehicles they slow down. And the same thing is here. Resistance, when you find the resistance is there, it tries to slow down the speed of the basically the speed of the electron or the current. It opposes the current. I hope that this part is clear, that what is the role of a resistance in a circuit. It tries to oppose the flow or the movement of charge particle and the current. So I will suggest you children better you focus on this symbol, that the rectangular, try to, whenever you need to draw the symbol, that you have to use this. And we have one more type of resistance, that is called the variable resistor, children. And what is the symbol for the variable resistors? These symbols are also important, children. You have to, there are so many symbols are given in your textbook, so you can remember. And variable resistance means, or variable resistor, both are same. So in box, if you find there is an arrow sign, upward arrow, please remember in this way. So this is called variable resistor or variable resistor. Please note down this variable resistor. A cross sign, the arrow passing through the resistance. That is a variable. Variable resistance means you can increase the value of resistance, you can decrease the value of resistance. That is the meaning of the variable. And this one is called the fixed resistance. That still I want to talk more about the resistance. What do you mean by the fixed resistance? What do you mean by the variable resistance? But variable resistance means whose value you can increase or decrease according to the requirement in an electric circuit. Calista says, so it opposes the flow of current. Yes, Calista, I just saw your chat. It opposes the flow of current. That is called the resistance. The basic purpose of the resistance is to make opposition for the current. Means if low is the resistance, means lesser is the resistance, more current will be there. And if higher is the resistance of any electric circuit, lesser will be the current. So inverse relation that you please remember, R is inversely proportional to current. Let me move ahead now. Fundamental understanding of a resistance of wire, that basically it is understood that in a metal, ions, atoms, electrons are there, or that you already aware about it. Yeah. The next important point, children, next important point is on what factor resistance depends. In any electric circuit, children, please listen carefully, please pay attention. Factor affecting the resistance, how we can increase or how we can decrease, or is there any factor that resistance depends? So I want to hear answer from all of you. Kenneth, any idea how resistance depends? Is there any factor that affecting the resistance of a conductor? Anything you know? Okay, no idea. No problem. Then Sampan, Yajish.
The length, sir.
Okay,
Like doubling the length would double the resistance.
you said doubling the length, double the resistance. Good. And
And
yeah,
then temperature also.
temperature is also affecting. Very good. Okay, so let me explain now, children. There are few factors that are affecting the resistance. Means if you remember these things, you can increase or decrease the resistance of a conductor. Now, children, one thing you should remember, sometimes we need higher current in an electric circuit. And in sometimes, on some devices, we need a low current, less current to flow. So it depends on the situations. If I need a very small current, so I need a higher resistance in the circuit so that component can work easily. And sometimes, children, we need higher current. In some situation, we need higher current. So in that time, when we are performing some experiment, when we are doing some research work, in a situation when I need higher current, I need to keep resistance down. I have to decrease the value of the resistance down. So how can I increase? How can I decrease the resistance? So first factor, children, that affects the resistance. Number one, nature of the material. That is called the specific resistance. It's a Greek letter. It's a resistivity. Specific resistance is called resistivity, children. This resistivity word you can find in your textbook, children, with the topic 8.08 and where it is written proportionalities problems on topic with the topic 8.08. So R equal to rho L upon A, that is the equation there. So nature of material. So it means different materials, the materials which we see, they have different kind of resistance. For example, last time I showed you the copper wire, this copper wire. So in this copper wire has a different resistance. If I take the same length, but the different kind of material, maybe aluminum wire, maybe silver wire, or metal, they have different kind of resistance. So the basic is that all these things, that the Ohm's explain when he performed this experiment. So nature of material, children. First point you remember, please. This is very important. This point is very important for the MCQ questions, multiple choice questions. Resistance depends on the material. In different kind of materials, they have different kind of values. Nichrome wire, alloy. Nichrome, it's not a metal, it's not a non-metals. In between them, that is alloy. It has a different kind of resistance. So please remember. So resistance depends on the material. Second point, children, length. That is very important for our curriculum. You can write it like resistance is directly proportional to length of a conductor. That Sampan has already explained If you increase the length, children, that the resistance also increases. So if you make the length double, so it means that the resistance is also going to be double. So that please remember, you make the length 3 times, the resistance also get, means basically if you increase the length, resistance also going to increase in a proportional manner. So please you remember this point also. And Calista said that the temperature, yeah, and then we will come to the temperature also. And before that, after finding the relation with the length, then we have a very important relation that is inversely proportional to area of cross section, children. Inversely proportional to area of cross section of a wire. I hope that you are clear about the area of cross section means. Area of cross section means, children, if I show you this pen here, what do you mean by the area of cross section? This and the area of cross section is this point here, and it is inversely proportional. Basically, it is inversely proportional to their thickness. It is related to the inversely proportional to their diameter, but basically it is inversely proportional to the area. That area that if you're taking we are talking about the conductor, we are talking about the wire. The area of a wire is what? Area of cross section, that is a circular part here, which is pi r square. So you can write it in mathematical form. R is inversely proportional to area. In the one factor, we have seen that R is proportional to length, R is inversely proportional to L. If you combine both these factors, children, combine them. In mathematics, I can write this equation. R is in a one form, R is proportional to L, divided by like this, R is proportional to L by A. And basically, when you replace this proportional sign, then we have the equation on the topic number 8.06 in your textbook. This constant, which is called the specific resistance or resistivity. Resistivity topic we are going to discuss in our next class, children. That I'm not talking anything about the resistivity, but remember this equation: R is equal to rho RHO rho. That is the specific resistance. That is called the resistivity, and multiplied by L divided by area of cross section A. So now let us discuss the last and important factor. Yes, Calista, L is there, the length. Yeah, please note down, children. Please note down in your notebook. What is this L? The first factor that I told you, L is the length of the conductor. Remember, length of what? Length of the conductor. And what is this A? This A is the area of cross section of a wire. Cross sectional area, even you can write cross sectional area. So we have seen till now 3 factors. One is the material, second length, third is area of cross section, and there is one more factor, children, that is temperature. Temperature. Now you can see here, temperature. I want to discuss on it about the temperature. This is very important, and definitely you will find some of questions based on this concept in your midterm exams, in your term end exams, definitely in board as well as in IGCSE. Temperature. So let me clear this picture screen. Resistance depends on temperature. And that was the assumption made by the scientist Ohm's when he performed this experiment. He said the temperature should be constant. And because the resistance of the wire, resistance of the metals, it changed by changing the temperature. And here, if you increase the temperature, now my dear student, please listen carefully. If you increase the temperature, even these factors you can find in your textbook on page number, on the topic number 8.06, there are also the 4 factors they mentioned on topic 8.06 resistance 1. That the temperature is written there, temperature for metal conductor resistance increases with temperature. Let me write here. Resistance increases resistance, children, it increases with the increase in temperature. Means you can remember R is proportional to temperature. Something is related. R is directly proportional to temperature. If remember, in case of metals, this is for metals. This is for metals. Semiconductor, it is inverse. It is inverse of it. In case of semiconductor, let me write SC for semiconductor, children. And then in case of semiconductor, this is inversely proportional to temperature. That semiconductor topic we are going to discuss at the end of this chapter. So R is proportional to T. In case of metals, means if you are increasing the temperature, resistance increases. A metal resistance increase. And if resistance increase, then you can say that I is inversely proportional to temperature. Remember, children, these are the important results which I am writing here on the screen. Because if the resistance, if I increase the temperature, let me put arrow upward sign for me. This is the increase in temperature. Resistance will increase. And if the resistance is increasing, basically what is the effect on the current now on in an electric circuit? And then current will decrease as you increase the temperature. Please remember, as the resistance increases, we have the relation between R and I, that R has increased here because we have increased the temperature. So definitely it will affect the current in an electric circuit. It will slow down the speed of the moving electron. Basically that it will decrease the current flowing in the circuit. So R, please remember this equation, this relation. And then why this happens, if you increase the temperature, if you find out answer of this question in metals, what happens? If you increase the temperature, kinetic energy of the ions, the electrons, the particle, they increases. And the fast moving electrons, they start frequently colliding with the atoms, ions in a conductor, and that will rise the temperature of the conductor itself. And the temperature means the temperature or the wire get heated and make what it makes. It makes the resistance of the wire or the conductor increases. That is the basic meaning of this. In case of when we increase the temperature, how the resistance increases and how it makes the current slow down. So please note down all these points, and I hope you are making your notes properly, children. Very soon I will ask you to send me a PDF file of your class work. Shall I move to the next slide, children? Have you note down?
Hold on, sir.
Okay.